So as the recording of this video, it's actually January, early January. I think this is going to be my review of the fourth episode of Dexter New Blood, and I think this episode actually aired in November. I tried doing a recording every week about each episode, and this episode particularly I had a hard time with, and I've watched it about 3 times trying to get a proper idea of what I could even review or talk about in this episode, and I just couldn't do it. So the latest episode is episode 9 that has just aired. So there's one more episode, which is the finale, and one more episode, and I just thought, I tried to skip this episode and record episodes ahead, just in case if someday I'll come back for this fourth one, and it's just so much time passed. But here's my attempt at trying to say something positive about the episode. I'm just gonna try to make it 10 minutes long. So yeah, this was the episode when Harrison's friend Ethan attacked him at school. Well, supposedly attacked him. It's kind of up in the air, but he attacked him, and Harrison tried to defend himself and stabbed Ethan, and Ethan had to leave and everything. Let me see. Skipping through the episode, there was a scene when Dexter was talking with Harrison about 20 minutes in, just below, and Dexter was talking with Harrison, and he was saying, hey, did he come at you from this angle or that angle, or how did he charge at you, because the wound didn't match or something. During their talk, I guess there was one thing I could kind of pick up and kind of mention or try to make positive, or try to see in a positive light. Sometimes we are not, from a child perspective of the dynamic of child and parent. From a child perspective, sometimes we just don't want to. Sometimes children just don't want to open up. Children will open up when they are ready. When certain situations happen, parents want to know exactly what's going on. They want to know every detail, how this happened, how that happened, and sometimes. Sorry about my throat. Sorry about that. Anyway, sometimes a child just doesn't want to deal with all those questions. Sometimes all they actually want from their parent is just for them to be there at that moment and just say, hey, have my back, let me do my thing, and just, it's nice to know I have someone that has my back. Now, I know I've said that in another review. Don't know if it was for a future one or this one, but or for a past one. But as much as a parent wants to know about their kid or child, a child will open up when they're ready, no matter what the situation is. Otherwise you're just going to push them away even further. Sometimes children or whatever can live a life that's opposite to what we felt we had when we were their age, or something like that, or growing up. And sometimes it can be, just in general, sometimes it can be hard to find a connection with our children, or with a child, or someone we want to bond with. And yeah, it is gonna be, that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen a lot. It's gonna pop up multiple times. It's gonna be a recurring thing about, how can I connect with this person? Sometimes all you really need to do is just leave things open for each other to feel comfortable about opening up and bonding and things like that. And don't worry about trying to have a connection because as long as you allow openness and authenticity to ensue in the relationship between you two, no matter who it is, then things will usually work out. Things will usually work out. It's so easy to sit here and say, what if there's this problem? What if there's that? And it's like at the end of the day, yeah, sometimes we're gonna run into certain problems, but I don't want to constantly dissect the what ifs and things like that. What I will say is just focus on solutions, more solutions, and it's okay to acknowledge the problem. It is important to acknowledge the problems of every situation, but as long as you focus more on the resolutions or the solutions, then the problems usually kind of solve themselves once you already have the answer. So, the answer I'm going to try to give right now is, like I said, to be authentic, allow openness to happen, allow authenticity to happen, allow there to be a safe space to where people, you and whoever else, the other person in question, can freely open up when they feel like that they can without feeling pressure to open up, or if they do open up they might get questioned or bombarded or interrogated, and that can be a very uncomfortable feeling. Just don't put the other person in that situation. That causes a lot of resistance in the relationship, in the dynamic. And so it's just not a good idea it's not good to do that. Just allow there to be space, don't question so much, and yeah, and don't worry about trying to have a connection, because the more you guys open up, no matter if it's a relationship, a friendship, or even a child, or whatever, parent, whatever, just, or child, whatever. So anyway, just don't worry about the connection part. Just focus on allowing each other to be themselves, and eventually you will start to find mutual ways of bonding. You'll start to find authentic ways to connect. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Skipping ahead, a little ahead into the episode. This is going to be really difficult for me to touch on because this is an area where I can't really say much. Especially not really being in this kind of a position or situation. Um, this scene that I'm talking about right now is when Harrison goes to the hospital, tries to see Ethan to see how he's doing. His parents are there. If you're in a situation, especially being young, or whatever, in a situation and you know that someone close to you or your buddy or whatever is talking about doing something bad or destructive or wanting to hurt people, things like that, in such a big way. Um, Especially when it's like a school situation. It is important to really communicate that, hey, so and so is in a bad position. They're in a bad state of mind, and maybe you can help them out. Now, the biggest risk of doing that is, yeah, sure, your friend can get upset, your friend can leave, and there's always that risk factor there of this person might not want to be friends with me anymore. They might not see me as their buddy, and you could be their only friend, and it's like it may seem like a betrayal. Um, Sometimes telling someone else is what's best overall, even though the risks seem scary. Sometimes telling someone who can help or may be able to prevent a death or some bad injury or something, sometimes it's good to take that risk to let someone know. But again, it's so hard to say that because personally, I know situations, and especially with real life, not just with TV, but in real life, when you're in situations like this, I understand that sometimes telling can create the opposite results, and I want to remain positive in these reviews, but right now in a situation like this, I really didn't want to talk about this because it's so fragile. But if you feel you know someone that I don't know, if there's a way to help, then yeah, but at the same time, just be careful or about you know, getting involved yourself and saying, "Oh, don't worry, me and this person one on one, I can talk them down or something." And I know from I know that sometimes that can help when it's just a one on one situation. And I can also know that sometimes it can be good to tell someone else. At the same time, what you can do, what I think is the better option, is if it is a one-on-one situation and you want to tell somebody, but you're worried that they might not trust you, and that might put them in a more of a darker place. Try to convince that person to try and seek help. Try and tell that person to try and find help on their own, so that way it is their personal decision. Me personally, I think that is the safest way of handling the situation, of handling things. I don't want to speak on this anymore. Next part of this episode, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit into the scene where Dexter and Kurt were talking on the porch. Sometimes we can't help but feel responsible for the behaviors of certain people who we mentored or were trying to raise or whatever. Sometimes they will have bad behaviors when they were young, and sometimes we'll just feel like, hey, it's probably something I could have done to stop it. I saw the patterns early on and I didn't do anything about it. You could always try to do something now about it. But right now, if we can catch it early, then hopefully this can help. Also, saying this, that it is important to not always bail out, your child, or if you're a mentor to somebody, it's important to actually pay attention to their behavior, to pay attention to why they are the way that they are and why they're making certain decisions. It is important to have some kind of acknowledgement behind it, and just to just consider what could be going on. The last thing I'll say about this episode, Harrison had to give his speech at the end, and I was honestly just going to play the clip about him giving his speech because, that would probably be a lot easier than me trying to explain it. But um, I don't know why I don't just do that instead. But, I already started recording. But just be careful about how you treat people, about how we treat each other, because there's so many instances where people will be mean to each other and they'll be cruel and they'll turn each other into these monsters, will hurt each other so much to where we'll turn into these miserable people. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's not my responsibility to fix you. It's not my responsibility to be nice to you or to treat you kindly. How you get a family for that or something like that." When really these same people who say that are the people who turn us into these monsters, like, sure, it's so easy to just treat someone cruel and make them into a bad person until you say, "Oh, I didn't do anything. They chose to be that way." Doesn't matter how I treated them. Doesn't matter how mean I was to that person. They decided to be mean. They decided not to be mean. They decided to go down that dark path and be miserable. And if they want to be happy, then they need to find friends. They need to find someone else. It's not my responsibility. It's like, I don't know. I mean, you are quick to destroy a person's soul, but when it comes to trying to help one or create one, it seems like people feel like they need to have some sort of title behind it. They need to have some sort of reason for helping this person. That we have no problem destroying a person. We had no problem at all. And people think that destroying a person and healing a person are just as easy as the other, and it's really not. It it's not. So just be aware of that is all I can say. Differently from what Harrison, I guess, said in the video. Just be aware of how we're treating people and things like that. Thank you for listening, and do the best you can with what you have, and have a great day.